What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hoopers Lounge with myself and Alex. And the second round is already here, folks. We had three game sevens in the first round, which was the most since 2014, I believe. Absolutely incredible first round in the NBA playoffs that wrapped up yesterday. And now the second round starts tonight, so no rest for any of these teams really that had to play long first round series. They're right back at it tonight, and I think this second round is going to be tremendous. I'm really excited for really all four of these matchups. I think I'm really excited for. And Alex, let's get your thoughts on the first round before we jump into second round previews.
Yeah, the first round, six of the eight matchups went to a game six. Three of them went to a game seven. Three out of the four series in the Eastern Conference went to game seven. I think that shows you just how much of a bloodbath the playoffs in a whole, but especially in the Eastern Conference, are. It's incredibly unpredictable this year, and anything can really happen in the second round. I think a good place to start off would be a game that happened yesterday because we just had some breaking news about it today. And that is the Detroit Pistons avoiding losing to the eight-seeded Orlando Magic in what would have been one of the biggest playoff upsets in NBA history. Max had Detroit going to the finals. He was not feeling great about it when they went down 3-1, but Detroit locked in games 5 through 7, got three straight wins, and go on to face Cleveland in the second round. About 15 minutes ago, it came out that the Magic fired Jamal Mosley, their head coach, after choking a 3-1 lead in the first round. It came out as a surprise at first. My initial reaction was surprise because they overperformed in the playoffs. They were an 8 seed up 3-1 against a 1 seed, right? Surprising to see a coach fired after that. But this came on the heels of a really underwhelming regular season by the Magic, and there were even reports towards the end of the year that one of the two-star players, presumably either Banchero or Wagner, was going to demand a trade if Jamal Mosley was brought back as head coach next year. So it appears the team had just given up on him even before this last second stretch playoff run. Maybe if they had gotten the job done against Detroit, that would have been enough to save his job, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. And now Orlando is on a head coach hunt and going into next year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be one of the more intriguing openings heading into the offseason. I think they have a lot of talent to work with, especially on the younger side, obviously with Paolo, Bain, and Wagner, but you also have Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs there as well. So, that team has a lot of good pieces to work with, a lot of good pieces that you could trade away if you wanted to get a superstar. Like you have assets to trade away as well. So I think coaches will be intrigued in that spot from that perspective. But I think Mosley was fired after Game 6. Honestly, um, that second half against Detroit, like that can't happen at home. Um, you score 19 points in any half of basketball, it's bad. But at home with a chance to close out the series, coming off the first half you had, which was an amazing first half, that to me, something was said in that locker room by Mosley that was not the right message at all. And I think the Pistons, Bickerstaff and the Pistons were able to say the right things at halftime. Mosley wasn't. And it felt like that game, their season ended. I feel like that just really deflated them heading into game seven. And I know Paolo was saying that it all goes away if we win game seven, which is true, right? Like everyone forgets game six if you win game seven. That is true. Um, but the Pistons also had the same mindset of what we just did in game six doesn't matter if we don't win game seven. And I feel like at home, the Pistons just were able to ride that momentum. And it feels like of halftime at game six was when Mosley not only lost his team this season, but lost his job, in my opinion. So while they did overperform, right, they did compete better with Detroit than we thought. I still think it was their series to lose in game six at halftime. Like they had the series wrapped up, it was over. All you had to do was finish at home, and you're going to the next round to play Cleveland. But that to me was kind of the nail in the coffin for Mosley.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Orlando had a double-digit lead at halftime of Game 6. And then in the fourth quarter of that game, they shot 1 of 20 from the field. Let me repeat that. 1 of 20. The fourth quarter of like you said, a closed-out playoff game, and you make a single bucket. That is fundamentally a coaching issue. And that was after, like you said, they had a great first half. The offense that carried them to that point suddenly disappeared in the second half, and that's why they lost that game. That series was theirs. Orlando should have won that series, I think it's fair to say. They needed one more half of good performance, either in game 2 or in game 6. And we would be talking about one of the biggest upsets in playoff history right now. So I imagine that's be incredibly frustrating for everyone in Orlando, fans, players, staff members, to just know you were that close to really rewriting the narrative of this season. And now it's just going to go down as, a disappointment. One question for you. Do you have renowned faith in Paolo Banchero's ability to be a franchise player?
I would say yes, because this is the second year in the last 3 that he's balled in a game 7. He was the only reason that the Magic were in it yesterday. And 2 years ago when they played Cleveland, he dropped 38 in game 7 against the Cavs. So yes, Paolo in big games is very aggressive, and he's very determined to play his best style of basketball. I need to see that more throughout the regular season and throughout other games other than game 7. But because he shows up in the biggest moments, like I think about the play-in game against Charlotte, win or go home, he was the best player on the court, no doubt. You look at the game, you could argue he was the best player on the court yesterday in game. You really could argue that if you wanted to, just because of how well individually he was playing. So to me, it does give me a renowned faith in him individually. In his fit with Orlando, I still don't have a lot of confidence in that. But if a team were to take a shot on Paolo and make him the face of their franchise, I think there would be some merit to back that up, just because of how well he plays in win or go home situations, in gotta have it moments. Paolo is one of those guys that does not shrink to those moments, and we've seen it now. I can count 3 times: the 2 game 7s in his career and the play-in game against Charlotte, which is essentially a game 7. I think all 3 of those games he showed up for his teammates, and he was the best player for their team in all 3 of those games. So I do have a renowned faith in Paolo, and I expect him to take some leaps next season. And just for context, before we move on, in game 6, the Magic were up 22 points at halftime at home.
That's unreal. And you lose by double digits, too.
Oh, they lost by 14. So, yeah.
Yeah. 36-point swing in the second half. That can't happen in a playoff game.
No, not at home. Not at home. No way.
Yeah, Paolo, at the very least, he's starting to get this reputation as a playoff riser. I mean, he's played well. He just needs to carry that over to the regular season. And we'll see if 2027 Paolo will be capable of that. Let's move on to the other Game 7 that went down yesterday, with Cleveland taking on Toronto. And I had Raptors in 7. I thought I had nailed this prediction going into that game. And then the second half of that game happened. And Toronto got blown out. Jared Allen had an absolutely standout game. It seemed like he grabbed every rebound that was available on both sides of the court. And he was the main reason that Cleveland was able to take home Game 7 after being tied at a halftime. So Toronto, I think they had a great series. I think Scotty Barnes was the best player in this series. They're a young team. They're a team to watch out for next year. But Cleveland against Detroit in the second round. 2 teams that you had having easy first-round matchups. So my question is, do you think this kind of more maybe unexpected challenge is going to hinder either of those 2 teams in the second round?
If anything, I think it will help them. I think Detroit in particular took Orlando lightly and thought they would just bully them. And when they realized they couldn't, that's when we really started to see the better side of Detroit, is when they take you seriously and they want to get up in your grill and defend you all the way up the court. There's not a lot you can do against the Detroit Pistons this season when they take you seriously and they guard you 1 through 5. Like, they did not do that in the first 4 games, really first 5.5 games of this series. But I thought yesterday, like game 7, their defense on everyone other than Paolo was stellar. And even Paolo was hitting some stupid shots like that he doesn't normally make. So I think when Detroit turns up their defense, and I think the Magic kind of gave them a wake-up call, like, hey, we got to turn up on defense to win this series. So I actually think it will help them. Cleveland, on the other hand, I would say it would help them. However, I don't really know what they changed. Like, they didn't really have a mindset change throughout the series, in my opinion. It seemed like we watched the same Cavs team 7 games straight. Whereas Detroit, I can literally point out an instance where I saw their mentality change on the basketball court. So I don't know what it will do to Cleveland, but in my opinion, I think it will actually help Detroit because I don't think they're going to come into this series taking Cleveland lightly. I think they're going to take them seriously so that they don't go down 3-1 again and have to go through what they just went through the last 3 games.
Yeah, I agree with you. It might not hurt them for this round, but you look at every team in the East, they went through a bloodbath to get to where they are. The first round was already 6 or 7 games for every single team in the East. And even at the teams in the West, they all went through difficult challenges or adversities too. Oh, except for the defending champion, Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the most well-rested team in the playoffs, who had basically a week off from their last game against the Phoenix Suns. I mean, in fact, when you can get that type of rest advantage over your opponents, I think that's going to benefit you more. And yes, they're in the Western Conference, and we'll get to the West in a little bit. But everybody in the East is battered, they're bruised, they're tired, they fought hard after round 1, and they're going to have 2 more hard-fought series. Whereas you look at the top 2 teams of the West, they're pretty well rested. So I think that is a bit of a contrast in where the best teams in the NBA truly lie and who truly has a chance to win the title. Because I don't think anybody in the East is capable of beating the top 3 or 4. I don't think anybody in the East would beat anybody in the West in a 7-game series. How about that? I think Minnesota would beat Detroit in a 7-game series.
What about the Lakers?
With healthy Luka, yes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Without healthy Luka, no. But
I think I agree with you, except for the Lakers. I do think the way Minnesota's been playing, I think I would take them after what I saw from Detroit, but I don't think I would take the Lakers over Detroit. As far as the other teams, though, what about Philly? Philly could absolutely beat the Lakers in a 7-game series.
Yeah, they could, but you're asking me to bet on Joel Embiid's health. And yes, he balled out Game 7 against Boston, but after seeing the way he was limping up and down the court those last 5 minutes, I don't know, man. I think I hate to say it because Embiid's one of the premier talents in the NBA when he's healthy, but I think there's some missed games on the horizon looming for Joel Embiid because he was not moving well those last couple minutes against Boston. He was struggling.
He missed the first 3 games against Boston in the first round, and they still found a way to win. So I think if you're Philly, you just need a Joel Embiid to show up in 4 of the 7 games, and I think you steal 1 without him, win 3 of the 4 with him, and you're moving on. I think that's just the strategy now for Philly, and it worked against Boston, and I think they have an easier matchup here in the Knicks than Boston. But I think Philly right now, they could beat Minnesota too. I think in a 7-game series. They, to me, look like the best team in the East right now when Embiid's healthy. Like, they just have so many options on offense. It's hard to bet against them right now. I was very shocked seeing them come back 3-1. Very shocked.
I mean, so was I, especially because I picked Boston to win it all. I know we left off from Cavs Raptors, but we need to talk about this Philly-Boston series for a second. Because I was over here preaching and praising everything Joe Mazzulla did. I was calling him the next greatest head coach in NBA basketball. But then Game 7 comes, right? A win or go home game for your team. And what do? You start a lineup of Jaylen Brown, Luka Garza, Ron Harper Jr., Baylor Shireman, and I forgot the 5th guy. But you know how many games that quintet played in the regular season together? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Why, in a win or go home game, are you playing a lineup that has never played together before? I don't understand it. You had an entire regular season without Jason Tatum. Him being out for Game 7 should not have been this catastrophic event that has you starting your reserves. I mean, what are we doing here? And if you look at the plus-minus, in 4 minutes, Luka Garza was outscored by 13 points. And Ron Harper Jr. played 9 minutes. His wasn't much better. So, it was so clear that Neemias Queta was always a better option over Luka Garza. And I don't know why everybody, except Joe Mazzulla, saw that. It was just incredibly frustrating because Boston is so much better than how they play those last 3 games. But the style Mazzulla plays with is live and die by the 3 ball. They will win a lot of games because they will make more threes, and they will lose a lot of games because they just can't make a shot. They can beat anybody, and they can lose to anybody. They're the most high-risk, high-reward team in the NBA with Mazzulla at the helm. And truthfully, that is not what you want as an NBA team. You want stability. You want to know that even when your guys have an off shooting night, that you can still get the job done. Look at Detroit, who won 2 games in their first round series. We're scoring under 100 points. That is stability. That is showing that when your guys have an off night, it doesn't matter. You can still find a way to win. Boston does not have that, because the only way they are capable of winning is by making 20 plus 3-pointers a game. It was like, I picked Boston to win it all, man. That was just such a frustrating collapse to watch. It was unbelievable.
I can understand where your frustration is coming from, because Boston fans are feeling that, and I agree with a lot that you just said. But I'm not going to forget that you and me voted Joe Mazzulla for Coach of the Year just like 2 weeks ago.
I know, I did.
And I am going to stick by that, because this lineup was questionable, and it was something that I think he made a mistake with. However, there is no secret that they were down 1 with 3 minutes left, and Jaylen Brown missed 3 straight shots. I'm not putting that on Joe Mazzulla. I can't put that on Joe Mazzulla. He put the ball in his best player's hands, and Jaylen Brown struggled to close out Game 7 when they had momentum coming back from. They started the fourth quarter down 13, cut it all the way down to 1. I'm pretty sure they even took the lead at one point. And when it was 99-98 Philly, Boston had multiple possessions to take the lead, in which they all involved Jaylen Brown. And not one of them did they score, and then Maxey hits the 2 layups to go up 103-98 to pretty much put the game away. Boston had a chance to win that game, even with Mazzulla's mistakes that I agree with. I think Mazzulla did make those mistakes, yes. But I don't think this collapse is as much on Joe Mazzulla as I think the media and other people are giving him credit for. The Tatum injury blows, obviously. However, Embiid missed the first 3 games. So that to me is kind of a washout. My biggest concern with Boston is, why the hell did you trade for Vucevic to not play him in Game 7? He doesn't have to start, but there's no reason why that guy, a former all-star in the NBA, can't get 15 minutes in a Game 7 off the bench.
Playing over Luka Garza,
why did you trade for Vucevic to not play him? That is my biggest concern. Keita should have started over Garza, yes. But Vucevic sitting on the bench, fully healthy for 48 minutes, was mind-boggling, especially when they were struggling offensively. That could have been another option to help you with your offense. Give him a couple post touches. Make Embiid guard someone, right? Keita was giving Embiid the work. I'm sure Vucevic would have gave him the work too. So that is where my concern is with Mazzulla, but I don't want to say they lost Game 7 because of Mazzulla, because they had many chances to win it at the end, and the guys that got them to that point just didn't come through for them. And to me, that's not on the head coach. That's just on players not executing at the end of the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, but I also don't want to put the blame on Jaylen Brown, right? I mean, Game 7, you put up 33 points, 12 of 27 from the field. That, the majority of the time, should be good enough to win. It just, nobody else on the team could make a shot, because everyone else on the team, all they shot was 3-pointers, and they just weren't falling for them that night. Yes, that is on the team, but I put that more on the coaching system. Because if your 3-pointers aren't falling, you need to be able to adapt and say, hey, let's look to drive more. Let's look to get some shots up inside the paint. Let's look to get some easy mid-range looks. Let's not shoot 35, 40 3-pointers in the second half. Let's slow it down. Let's look for shots inside. Mazzulla didn't do that, because Mazzulla's only style of coaching is every shot needs to be a 3-pointer or a layup. There's no adapting there. That is how he plays basketball. And like I said, it leads to a system where you win by the 3 and you die by the 3. And unfortunately for Cleveland, these last 3 games, they died by it. Because Mazzulla was unable to produce anything else other than chucking up 3-pointers. I think that is more or less why he's going to get blamed for this loss. I still think he is a top coach in the NBA, right? There are, 28 of the 30 teams would love to have Joe Mazzulla as a head coach. But he's still got some work to do, right? This showed he's still a young head coach in the league. He's only going into what, year 3? He's just finished up year 3. So he's still got a lot to learn. He's still young, right? I think he's going. I think he's going to be a much better head coach next year after learning this. Hopefully, he's able to bring some adaptation to his offense and not just rely on 3-pointers the entire year because that's just boring basketball to watch as well, for that matter. But and Boston next year with a healthy Tatum, they should be fine. So not next year, Boston should be dangerous. It's just incredibly frustrating to see the track record they went on this year. Like, you look at how Boston started the year. They started off as nobody thought this was a gap year, right? They weren't going to make the playoffs. And then after 20 games, they were a playoff team. And then after 60 games, they were the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference, right? They were going to represent. They were going to the finals, and now their first round exits again. So that's just a complete roller coaster of expectations throughout the season. Very tumultuous ride for Boston fans.
Yeah, and I do think they exceeded expectations this year. Last thing I want to say about Missoula is I find it hard for myself to blame a guy on his system that was the same system that won them a championship 2 years ago. That to me is hard to do. Like, if Boston didn't win the championship 2 years ago and Missoula hasn't won anything in Boston, right? And they lose because of this, I think that is totally fair to blame his style of coaching. But we've seen his style of coaching bring them a championship with the same key core pieces, minus Drew Holiday. Okay, that to me, it's hard for me to blame him when I've seen him have so much success in the past. Just because on one game his players couldn't make open shots. And let's not sugarcoat it, right? Like, a lot of these looks were open shots. It's not like these guys were chucking up contested half-court shots for 3/4 of the game. They were getting open looks, and they were just not making them. And like you said, you live by the three, you die by the three. But at the end of the day, the coach isn't the one shooting the threes. And that, to me, it's hard to blame Missoula for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I can talk about the Boston Celtics a lot. I have a lot to say about them. But for the sake of time, let's move on to the final series in the Eastern Conference, where the Knicks took down the Atlanta Hawks in 6 games. The last 2 games specifically weren't even that close. New York, as soon as they went up 2-2, New York basically ran away with the series. Was not that competitive of a series. And now New York will face Philadelphia in the second round. Another matchup on Philly's side that has a lot of precedence. You go against Boston first round and against New York second round. 2 in-division rivals. I mean, Philly, it seems, is in for another bloodbath, as New York is as well. But what do you think about? I think this is the most fascinating series of the second round, in my opinion. Because, like you said, I think Philly is playing a lot better than your average 7 seed. So, what are your thoughts on this upcoming second round New York Philly matchup?
Yeah, so I literally have this written down, coin flip. I have no idea. This series is 50-50 for me. It's the hardest one in the second round to predict, for sure. And I have a question for you. Who do you think is the best player in this series? Because I really struggled to think on this one coming into this episode.
A healthy Joel Embiid is the best player in this series. With a healthy Joel Embiid is a top 3 player in the NBA, and I think he showed it in the first round series. He's unguardable when he is healthy. I mean, he doesn't have an appendix. He was basically hobbling around on one leg, and he still dropped 30 and 8 a game. 30 and 8. This man had 8 assists a game. He lost his appendix and turned into Nikola Jokic. I mean, it was unbelievable what Joel Embiid did in the first round. So I think if he's healthy, he's the clear best player in the second round. But the story with Embiid is always health, and that's always a question. So if for whatever reason he isn't healthy, I think you got to go Jalen Brunson. Tyrese Maxey's up there too, but I think Brunson just has more playoff experience. I think he's more reliable in the clutch. Even Maxey did have the big buckets in Game 7, but Brunson has won a clutch player of the year. He's had numerous big-time buckets throughout his Knicks run. I mean, it's close. If you told me Tyrese Maxey was the best, I wouldn't argue. But if you had to give me one of those players to start as my point guard to win a championship, I think I would be more lenient to Brunson.
Yeah, I had them ranked the same way: Embiid, Brunson, Maxey. However, that to me is 2 for Philly, 1 for New York. And I think that is really beneficial to the Sixers in this series. They've got 2 dudes that can go win you a game at any point. But when I look at the Knicks roster, if the Sixers if VJ Edgecombe or Kelly Oubre or Paul George, whoever's guarding Brunson, if they do a good job guarding Brunson this series, I think the Knicks are going to really struggle. Because I don't know positionally, the Knicks kind of struggled to guard the Hawks at times. Um, and the Sixers have way more dudes than the Hawks off from an offensive perspective, especially when Embiid is healthy. Because Embiid's healthy, you might have to start doubling the post. That's when he racks up those assists, guys hitting open shots. So I'm really concerned for the Knicks here, just from a secondary scoring perspective. This is a huge series for Karl Anthony Towns, in my opinion. He has to play at a similar level to Joel Embiid. He does not have to be better than Embiid. He does not have to play at his level. He needs to be at a similar level to Joel Embiid this series for the Knicks to have a chance, in my opinion. And Mikal Bridges needs to have a significantly better series than he did in the first round. Offensively, he was terrible against Atlanta. OG was great, but you kind of expect OG, because he's not the focal point of opposing teams' defenses. Like, OG's going to get you 18 a night, right? So that's kind of penciled in. It's really Cat and Bridges for me that need to take a big step for the Knicks to have a chance. And I think home court is going to be huge in this series. Both Philly and New York have two of the best home court advantages in the league. And I recently saw that the Sixers are refunding tickets to all Knicks fans who are purchasing tickets. So I don't know how they cipher that. I guess it's based on your billing address or something. But if you are buying a ticket and you appear to be a Knicks fan, they are refunding you. They are not letting Knicks fans in the building. I think that is really interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen teams do that. But I'm intrigued to see which one of these teams can win a road game first, because I think it's going to be extremely difficult to win on the road in this series.
There's precedence to that last part, right? The last time Philadelphia and New York met in the playoffs, half of Philadelphia's arena was sold out to Knicks fans, because tickets to Madison Square Garden are so expensive, and the average Knicks fan cannot afford to go see a playoff game. So what do? Oh, catch a $30 train ride to Philadelphia, buy a much cheaper ticket there, and go watch your Knicks play in Philly. That's what happened. That's why the stadium was so full of Knicks fans. So now you have Joel Embiid saying, hey, Philly fans, do not sell your tickets to Knicks fans. And like you said, now Philly is refunding any tickets that are bought in New York. So I think this rivalry is almost geared up a notch now. I think the fans in New York are going to take it very personally that they're not able to go watch their team play in Philadelphia, and it's going to lead to some tension. I think this is going to be a series filled with little scraps and little. We've seen this a lot throughout the playoffs, a lot more than I feel like in previous years. And I think this series is going to be a prime example of physicality, of scuffles, maybe even a fight or two. I think this is going to be a bloodbath of a series, and that's why I am so excited by it. Here's a take. This is a hot take, okay? I want you to hear me out on this. The fourth best player in this series is VJ Edgecombe. Over Karl Anthony Towns. Over Mikal Bridges. Over OG Anunoby. The fourth best player is VJ Edgecombe.
I honestly could hear you on Cat, but I think I'm going to go with OG, personally. Because I think OG is a better version of VJ, right? They're very similar players to me. Scrappy defensively, typical 3-and-D, wing. I mean, VJ's more of a guard, but he really plays off the ball. He plays off the ball. Oh, yeah. VJ Edgecombe
is Dwayne Wade driving to the rack. VJ Edgecombe can throw down ducks OG dreams of.
He can, but that is not his role on this current team. So, in my opinion, OG is a better version of VJ right now. It is a hot take, and I honestly I'll hear you on Cat because of the struggles he's had in the playoffs. I still think Cat's the better player. He's a former All-Star, but VJ's playing really good. You know who else is playing really good, though? Paul George. I want to shout him out for a second here. Ever since the suspension, he's been huge for Philly, and I don't want to discredit him as the third best player on the Sixers right now because he had a great first round as well. So I would maybe pump the brakes on it. However, I will hear you on that. He's playing better than Karl Anthony Towns right now. I'll hear you out on that. But I think Paul George is close, and I think OG is close to VJ. I don't think there's a big gap there.
I mean, VJ was a third option for Philly in Game 7. He was the third leading scorer, 23 points on the night from a rookie in his first ever playoff series in a hostile crowd at Boston. You're putting up 23 points, shooting over 50% from the field, shooting over 50% from three. I mean, yeah, he's not the primary option on Philadelphia because you have Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, two All-NBA players, but you're also the person who gave Dylan Harper an A for coming off the bench in San Antonio, right? I'm surprised that you're using the role argument to kind of discredit VJ Edgecombe because he's playing his role, arguably, better than anybody on the Knicks is playing their role. I mean, he's playing the role. I mean, you could even argue Tyrese Maxey had a few off games against Boston. VJ Edgecombe had 0 off games. You could argue VJ Edgecombe was playing his role better than anybody except Joel Embiid. Right? I think he has been genuinely incredible in this playoffs. I would still take Maxey over him. I would still take Brunson over him. And yeah, after the series OG Anunoby had, you could make a very good argument to take OG over him. But I think Edgecombe is only going to continue to get better throughout this playoffs. I think the ceiling is still limitless for him. I've been saying it all year, but Edgecombe balled out that first round, and he, I think, is the X factor if Philadelphia is going to get through New York. Because Mitchell Robinson is going to do as good of a job as anybody can do on Embiid. Mitchell Robinson is big enough to handle Embiid's physicality. One of the very few centers in the league that can say that. If anybody can make life hard for Joel Embiid, it's going to be Robinson. So, and Tyrese Maxey, I mean, the Knicks pride themselves on defense, right? That's been their calling card ever since they traded for Jalen Brunson. You have to hope one of these 3-and-D defenders, either Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby, players they traded first-round picks for, will be able to slow down Maxey. If you're the Knicks, one of those things is going to happen. And if you're the Sixers and those things happen, either Paul George or Edgecombe has to step up. And I think Edgecombe will step up. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would take Philly to win this series. I would pick them to take this series in 6. I think if it goes to Game 7, they would not be. That's a hostile environment. And asking them to win 2 Game 7s on the road and 1 playoffs, that's a tough ask. So goes to 7. I think New York has it. But if I had to bet money on this, I'm taking Philadelphia to take it in 6. I think they are the most talented team in the East, like you said.
For what it's worth, I agree. I have Sixers in 7. I do think they can win a road Game 7. But we both picked Boston to win this series. So these are unofficial predictions, but I do think Philly's going to win this series because I think this is the healthiest Embiid's been at this point in the season in a long time. And I know he was hobbled at the end of Game 7, but they're saying it's just a hyperextended knee. I'm not too concerned about that. They're going to manage him as well as possible to get him to the end of this series. And VJ has played his role very well. I've been very impressed with VJ Edgecombe. I don't want to take anything away from him. And I do think if his number is called, he will step up. He's that type of guy, right? But I really like what I saw to OG. I really like what I saw to Paul George in the first round, as well as I liked what I saw to VJ Edgecombe in the first round. So it's hard for me to say he's the 4th best player in the series, especially in Game 7. Not a majority of his shots, but a good handful of his shots were fully created for him by Joel Embiid in the post. And that's a benefit that not everybody gets, is when you get doubled and then you kick it out to Edgecombe and he's wide open. I don't expect him to hit every one of those, but I do expect him to shoot from a good percentage. He's obviously electric in transition. I think that's where he's at his best. When him and Maxey are getting downhill to the basket, they're probably one of the best backcourts in the league at doing that. So I'm excited to see the series. I agree with you. I think the Sixers are going to win this series just because they have, offensively, when they're healthy, no team in the league has enough firepower to guard them. Because one night it's Embiid for 35. The next night it's Maxey for 35. The next night it's Edgecombe for 25. Right? The next night it's Paul George for 25. Like, you just cannot stop all of them on the same night. Especially, you can't do that 4 times in 7 games. You definitely can't do that. So, give me the Sixers in 7. I think they're going to win back-to-back road Game 7s, which would be crazy. But I do think they're going to do that.
So that would be a hell of a script for Embiid's first conference finals appearance in his career. Let's move on to the Western Conference. And we'll start off with the only sweep of the first round. Oklahoma making a quick 4 games of the Phoenix Suns. Oklahoma looked incredible. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm really excited to see how they match up with the Lakers, though, because my God, this would be the greatest. This might be the greatest playoff performance in LeBron James history if he can win this series. Like if
True.
if
True.
LeBron wins this series, it probably is better than anything he did in 2018. Like dead ass serious. Like
if LeBron wins the series, I think he passes MJ on my GOAT list. Like truthfully, like
he might
he
might
wins this series at 41
now
years old.
if Luka comes back, there's obviously talks about that as well. But if LeBron wins this series with Luka still on the shelf, yeah, I think he's he might be the GOAT. He might be the greatest.
But we were also talking about Luka. He might be if he does. We were also talking about Luka as likely to come back at some point in the Rocket series, and then we didn't see him once. So I'm wondering if this injury is almost worse than the Lakers are letting on. And
I think it is.
There's a world where Luka might not be back throughout the playoffs, especially if Oklahoma gets out to a quick 2-0, 3-0 lead. I think it's very possible. I think it's almost probable at this point that we don't see Luka Doncic play in this playoffs. Hamstrings are difficult, man. They're lingering. They're tough to get rid of. And especially once it was just unfortunate timing that Luka suffered it right at the end of the season, right when the playoffs were about to start, because this is an injury that you can't play at 100% at. His offense and defense is both going to be hindered by it. I think the Lakers are doing the smart thing by keeping him out and making sure that he gets healthy. But I think it's very, very probable that we don't see Luka at all in those playoffs. And if that's the case, Thunder in 5, and they get another week of rest before the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I've got Thunder in 6, just because my rooting interest. I need this to be a little bit longer of a series, but I do think the Thunder are going to win. In my opinion, here's the big thing for me for the Lakers. They need to watch that Game 7 Pistons, and that's the type of defense they need to be playing against the Thunder. And what I mean by that is let Shea go for 50 if he wants. Don't let Chet go for 20, Isaiah Joe for 12 off the bench, AJ Mitchell for 15, right? Don't let Hartenstein get a double-double, right? Like, that's the type of stuff you got to cut that out, especially while Jalen Williams is out, right? When he's out, I feel like you need to put your best defender on Shea and say, we're going to play you one-on-one the whole game. Don't foul out, and don't give up easy shots. Right, that's your job, right? If he goes,
here's the issue: who is the Lakers' best defender?
Probably Marcus Smart.
Even have anybody?
Probably Marcus Smart. Probably.
Yeah, Shea's cooking him.
That's okay
Marcus
though.
Smart.
That's okay though. That's what the Lakers want. They want Shea to cook, so that the other guys don't get comfortable throughout the series, right? Like if you're double teaming Shea and leaving guys open, especially at home, you have zero chance against the Thunder. Because when they're moving the ball and they're getting open threes and they're running out in transition, you are cooked. The Lakers need to pack it in, say, Shea, you can do whatever you want. Nobody else on the basketball court is going to feel comfortable in this series. And it's not going to be easy because the Lakers are not a good defense, right? But I think that needs to be the strategy. They need to slow the game down, and they need to guard Shea from the perspective of it's okay if he scores from the mid-range. It's okay if he gets to the basket time to time. That's okay. Don't get in foul trouble, and don't give up open threes. That's got to be the strategy for the Lakers, in my opinion. Make somebody else, and then when you get into crunch time, right, down the series, game 5, 6, 7, right, if it gets that far, you need to make somebody else. That's when you start to take Shea away and make somebody else beat you. But early on in this series, to give them a chance to win, like to split in Oklahoma City, I think that needs to be their strategy here the first 2 games. Slow the game down, let Shea do whatever he wants, and don't let the role players get going, especially while Jalen Williams is out. I think when Jalen Williams comes back, this will be extremely difficult because they can just give the ball to J-Dub, and he can create offense that way as well. So, but it'll be interesting to see. I think the Lakers are going to play better than people expect in this series. I really do.
I disagree there. I think this is just even if Luka Doncic was healthy, I think it's just an incredibly difficult matchup for the Lakers. I think the Thunder match up well with them in practically any regard. I mean, they have the perimeter stoppers to slow down Luka. They have the most physical defense in the league. So that's, I mean, the Lakers entirely rely on Luka to basically facilitate their offense. When he's out, LeBron's still LeBron. He'll show out. He'll play make. Luke Kennard can splash threes. Marcus Smart has a few good games. But that's against the Rockets. You're not doing that against this Oklahoma City Thunder team. You need Luka Doncic in for your offense to work. I don't think they stand a chance against the Thunder if Luka is not in. I picked the Lakers in 5, I picked the Thunder in 5 because I think LeBron will steal a game on his own. Right? It's hard for me to pick against LeBron James. Saying LeBron's going to get swept just doesn't sound right. So I'll take him in 5, but I mean, I was closer to taking them in 4 than I was even giving the Lakers a second game. I don't think this series is going to be much of a contest. I think the Thunder are going to have a quick, easy run into the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think the Thunder are significantly better than the Lakers on paper. And what we've seen on the court from them in the regular season, I would agree with that. But the Lakers I think they surprised us a lot in the first round. And you're right, that was against Houston, who is the most inconsistent team in the league, you could argue. The Thunder
Houston without KD, by the way.
Yeah, and well, the Rockets played better without KD in that series. Just saying. So,
True.
But the Thunder are anything but inconsistent. So I agree with you on that the Thunder are a totally different beast than the Rockets, and it will take them some getting used to. I think, again, we've been talking X Factors all episode. I think DeAndre Ayton could have a huge role this series. I know Chet Holmgren's a great defender, but DeAndre Ayton has a chance to help the Lakers big time. He's not going to outskill Chet. He might not even outskill Hartenstein. He needs to out-hustle them this series. And DeAndre, I don't know if he's capable of that. I really don't know if he's capable of that.
You put DeAndre Ayton and hustle in the same sentence.
I know.
You might be going wrong here.
But we've been talking about watching film. He needs to watch that Jared Allen film from last night. And that's the type of guy he needs to become this series. Because I think he can frustrate Chet and Hartenstein if he's able to create second chances for the Lakers, if he's able to get his post game working, and able to alleviate some of that pressure off of Reeves and LeBron. Huge ask for Ayton. Huge ask. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it needs to happen. It needs to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it needs to happen.
That is a huge ask. You might as well ask him to be an all-star at that point. I mean, that is the player that DeAndre Ayton was expected. That is the player that he was expected to be when he was drafted number 1 overall. So like you said, it does seem possible, but we are 8 years into DeAndre Ayton's career, and he has not sniffed an all-star appearance. So I think that's a practically impossible ask, in my opinion.
It's not easy.
DeAndre Ayton and hustle in the same sentence.
I know.
Here, I have a question about Houston. Just to before we move on to the other 2 matchups in the West, or the other matchup, excuse me, this Lakers-Houston matchup, I have seen rumors that Kevin Durant has played his last game in a Houston uniform after just 1 season. How much credibility do you think these rumors have to him? Do you think it's possible that Kevin Durant did play his last? You think that Kevin Durant played his last game?
History often repeats itself in life, and we've seen Kevin Durant ask out of situations much prettier than this. So, like, I know as a Warriors fan that his beef with Draymond Green was not big enough for them to run it back and continue winning championships. That situation was a lot prettier than what I think is going on in Houston with the KD files and the lingering ankle injury in the playoffs. To me, why would you leave Golden State because you have a beef with one of the players when you could squash the beef and just continue running the entire Western Conference, really the entire league, for the rest of your careers? You left that for Brooklyn, which, in my opinion, probably still a prettier situation with Kyrie and James Harden than what you have going on in Houston, when you don't have a singular player that was healthy in these playoffs that could knock down an open 3. I mean, like, the roster of Houston without Van Vliet and Durant might be the worst shooting roster of all time. That might be the worst shooting roster in the modern era of like 3-point shooting basketball, that might be the worst roster of all time. Relying on a rookie Reed Shepard to be your best 3-point shooter in the playoffs. No, that's not good. So the situation in Houston's not pretty, and I've seen Kevin Durant ask out of much prettier situations. Oklahoma City, Golden State, Brooklyn. Phoenix is the only one that I think you could argue that Phoenix and Houston, like the situations, like Phoenix missed the playoffs last year. We thought they were going to be rebuilding this year. Like that was not a pretty situation. But the first three were all better situations that he decided to pack his bags and leave. So yes, I think there's a lot of merit to those rumors. Do I think it'll happen? I don't know. I've been seeing rumors that the Nuggets could be interested in a trade for Kevin Durant, which, wow. That's just my first reaction is wow. Kevin Durant on the Nuggets would be very interesting. I would love to see that for a season of Jokic and KD. I couldn't fathom the amount they'd have to give up. I would think Aaron Gordon would probably be on his way out. I would think Peyton Watson could be on his way out, right? Like one of those two guys with more pick compensation. I've been seeing that floated around. But yes, I would say there's a 70% chance that we have seen Kevin Durant's last game in Houston. I think that's kind of my confidence level in that. It's about 70-30 he will leave Houston.
I think Orlando would love a Ward with the worst shooting team of the NBA. But I see your point. To your point, yes, Houston is
the Rockets would do a lot to get Desmond Bane on their team. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, sure. Good point.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, the Rockets didn't shoot 1 of 20 in the fourth quarter of any game. Yeah, so
no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Rebuttal there. Okay, but I do see your point. I don't know if Kevin Durant is going to be worth that much in the trade market.
True.
I know he is a legend of the game, but let's look at the last 3 years of Kevin Durant's career. You joined a Phoenix team that was the 1 seed that won 64 games. 2 years later, they're not making the playoffs. Kevin Durant. Well, that was your job. I mean, what are you doing there? So you request a trade out. You go to Houston. This is a young team, a young up-and-coming team. They were the 2nd seed last season. They lost tough 7-game series to the Golden State Warriors. They needed experience. They needed buckets. Kevin Durant was supposed to be the perfect fit, the missing piece. And now Houston's the 5 seed. They're a first-round exit again, and Kevin Durant's asking out again after just 1 year, after Houston traded the closet and then some to acquire him. I mean, I think teams are going to start to be lenient to that. You're seeing this guy who teams will keep shelling out their entire futures for, who's not willing to be committed and loyal to them. I mean, I don't know if the Nuggets are willing to even give up Aaron Gordon for 1 year of Kevin Durant. Now, if Kevin Durant genuinely commits to Denver and they get 3 years of Kevin Durant, yeah, I could see them giving up a haul. But we have not seen Kevin Durant show any kind of loyalty to any team for a while. It has been a significant amount of time, ever since, the early on Oklahoma City Thunder days. He's not been loyal since then. So I think teams are going to be very, very wary about trading really any core piece of their rotation or any significant future draft compensation for a guy who has a history of running away when things get tough and leaving teams after a year. I mean, Kevin Durant's completed the NBA rainbow at this point. He's where jersey colors red through purple, and I guess he's just looking to add to that. So I don't know. I think teams are going to be like Denver. I don't think they're going to want to give up Aaron Gordon or Peyton Watson, either of those players for Kevin Durant, especially if they're getting only a 1-year rental of him. I think that's a bit too much to ask.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a bit too much. However, you cannot, if you're Denver, waste Jokic's prime and Jamal Murray's for that matter. And I think adding a player of the caliber of Kevin Durant is definitely intriguing. And I think it's definitely worth a look and see if you can maybe only give up, Aaron Gordon and not a lot of compensation, right? Because Peyton Watson is healthy, or not healthier, but younger. I think that's something interesting to keep an eye on. And Denver's not the only team that I think could be in contention for Kevin Durant. I honestly, this might sound kind of biased, but if the Warriors land LeBron, there's a real shot Kevin Durant also joins Steph and LeBron in Golden State. Like, that is a big if, right? If the Warriors land LeBron, but I think LeBron and Steph would severely entice Kevin Durant to Golden State, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I've also seen the Wizards thrown around a little bit. Kevin Durant's hometown, Washington, D.C., they recently acquired Trae Young and AD, so I could see them looking to acquire KD and making kind of a big three going into next year. I've seen their name thrown around, and I would say that narrative has some juice to it. I would say the Wizards are the front runners if Kevin Durant does ask out.
That would be nuts.
But I think that's a great transition to get into the Nuggets Timberwolves series, arguably the most surprising result of the first round. Max, your champion Nuggets out in 6 games to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we'll talk about the Nuggets in a little bit. But wow, what a series from Jaden McDaniels! What a series from Rudy Gobert! What a series from Ayo Dosunmu, from Terrence Shannon. I mean, the Timberwolves had so many role players step up into superstar roles and thrive in them. I mean, look at what Rudy Gobert did to Nikola Jokic. Jokic had an awful series. I know his box score numbers still looked good. I mean, he nearly averaged a triple-double, but his efficiency was down across the board. Jokic's, his calling card has been the advanced stats, the analytics, his efficiency while playing. That has been Jokic's calling card throughout his career. That was not the case in this series. I mean, he was shooting below 40% from the field, below 30% from three on a regular night-by-night basis. And that is because Rudy Gobert locked his ass down. And not only that, Rudy Gobert became Magic Johnson on offense. Rudy Gobert was hitting multiple no-look passes. I saw Rudy Gobert make a no-look corner swing pass to the corner, and I legitimately thought I was watching one of the best playmakers in the NBA. I mean, what was I watching? I don't even know. And Jaden McDaniels, who goes out and calls every single player on Denver, goes out and calls him out as a bad defender. Excuse me. And then goes out and drops 32 in the elimination game. I mean, absolute dog. Ayo Dosunmu dropping 41 to help the Timberwolves win the game, in which Dante and Anthony Edwards both left early to elimination. How about Terrence Shannon Jr., his first ever playoff start, 26 points. Who's getting absolute buckets. He looked like Anthony Edwards out there. Did you see that vicious dunk that Terrence Shannon Jr. had? I mean, he looked like Russell Westbrook. I think that's a great comparison. He reminded me of prime Russ with that throwdown. I mean, everybody on the Timberwolves stepped up. What a series in Minnesota. What a result for the Timberwolves, winning without your superstar player. This should be a hell of a series against San Antonio. I think Minnesota is going to provide a significantly stronger challenge than many people would expect without Anthony Edwards.
Well, I agree. First of all, I agree. Ant is scheduled to come back soon. He probably won't be 100%, but I do think 70 to 80% Ant is going to help them tremendously, especially against a much improved defense, right? You're not playing the Nuggets this series. You're playing the Spurs. Much better defense, obviously, right? Much better defense. Here's my takeaway. If Rudy Gobert plays like he did in the first round, Minnesota's going to beat the Spurs. They're going to beat the Spurs. If he's able, if he plays to the level on defense, right? Offensively, he will not do what he did against Wembanyama. I am not going to say that. But defensively, Wembanyama is not the player Jokic is in the post. That is a fair take. And Wembanyama is not the playmaker Jokic is. And we saw Gobert, like you said, dominate his ass for 6 games. Dominate him on defense. If Gobert can play like that in this series against Wembanyama, they are going to win this series. For prediction's sake, I have the Spurs in 7. For prediction's sake. However, Rudy Gobert versus Wembanyama is the matchup that will decide this series. If Wembanyama is able to play how he did in the first round, how he did in the regular season, he's able to, hit open shots and run the pick and roll, catch those lobs from the great guards they have, right? If he's able to get his 30 and 10 with 5 blocks, right, the Spurs are going to win. But if he's getting 25 and 8 and he's super inefficient because of Rudy Gobert, I think Minnesota's going to win this series. I really do. This is an extremely difficult task. We've seen this team reach the Western Conference Finals. And when Ant's coming back, like he is going to come back in this series. He's going to miss game 1 tonight, I believe. And then I think he's going to start being questionable from here on out. So we could see him as early as game 2, I believe. So if Minnesota can find a way to win one of these first 2 before Ant comes back in game 3, look out. I think Minnesota, they've got a chip on their shoulder. Jaden McDaniels does that, right? He had the chip on his shoulder in the first round. I saw he mentioned after game 6, McDaniels was asked about Rudy Gobert's defense on Jokic, and he said that Rudy really felt snubbed that he was left off the Defensive Player of the Year finalists. And then he goes out and does that against the best player in the world. Now he gets to go out against what people are calling the future of the league, who is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year against a guy who feels he got snubbed. Rudy Gobert is honestly I'm most excited to watch Rudy Gobert tonight. Of all the players playing tonight, I'm most excited to watch Rudy Gobert and see how he plays against Wemby tonight. I'm very excited because of how he played against Jokic.
That is going to be a hell of a match. I am truthfully excited to see that too, because if anybody is capable of slowing down Wemby, it is Gobert. Because he's bounced back from his concussion really nicely. The Spurs took care of the Blazers in an easy 5 games. But all year, you have been saying that the Spurs are more than just Wembanyama.
They are.
That the Spurs have other players that can beat you, and they do. The Spurs have 7 players that average double digits throughout the regular season, and Harrison Barnes was 6 total points away from making that team the first ever team to have 8 players average double digits. Harrison Barnes averaged 9.9. If he had 6 more points, he would have had 10. So this Spurs, it's like they're not just balanced. This is a historically balanced team that has 4 or 5 different guys that can go off on any given night and beat you. We saw Stephon Castle drop 31 in round 1. Dylan Harper had a superstar showing of his own with Wembanyama out. And then he disappeared. But still, with Wemby out, Dylan Harper stepped up. De'Aaron Fox is a former All-Star who carried the Sacramento Kings to the playoffs, which we know getting the Sacramento in postseason basketball is no easy task. You know what? Shout out De'Aaron Fox for that, because Sacramento has sucked ever since he left. And they sucked before they got there. So De'Aaron has been there, done that. He's capable of winning a game. Castle and Harper both showed they're capable of winning a game. Champagne's capable of knocking down 8 threes in a game. But this Spurs team, I think, is more than just Wembanyama. And even if Gobert is able to slow down Wembanyama, I think the Spurs still win it. Just for the record, I don't think Gobert will. I have the Spurs winning in 5.
Okay, yeah.
I think this is...
I hear what you're saying about the Spurs are more than Wemby, and I agree with you because I've been preaching that all year. But round 1 proved to me that the Timberwolves are also more than Anthony Edwards, right? You just went down the list of all the role players that can win a game for Minnesota. McDaniels, Randall, Dosunmu, Shannon, Bones Highland, and they're getting Ant back. So to say that like the Spurs roster is so much better than Minnesota's after you take away each team's best player, to me, round 1 proved they're a lot closer, which is why I have the Spurs in 7, because I do think there's going to be games where you watch Jaden McDaniels and you're like, damn, he might be the best player on the court tonight. Or you watch, Ayo Dosunmu off the bench and you're thinking to yourself, wow, that's a future 6th man of the year right there. Like, you're telling me that McDaniels he can't outplay De'Aaron Fox one of these games?
Not against the Spurs defense. Against the Nuggets defense where they all suck, yes. But I will be shocked if I see Jaden McDaniels drop a 30-bomb this series. I mean, Stephon Castle, I think, is a great individual matchup against Jaden McDaniels. I think Dylan Harper is a great individual matchup against whatever guard that Minnesota thinks is going to run out and take over, whether it be Dosunmu, whether it be Terrence Shannon, or even if Ant comes back. I think Dylan Harper's size provides a great matchup against that. I just think the Spurs team matches up really well against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And even if Ant was completely healthy, I would take the Spurs in 5 still. I just think this is a very difficult matchup for Minnesota to get past. And I think this Spurs Thunder Western Conference matchup has almost been previewed all season. We have been anticipating this ever since Christmas when the Spurs absolutely annihilated the Oklahoma City Thunder in like 3 straight games. So we as NBA fans have been talking about this for months now. I think it's practically inevitable, and I think we are going to see 2 very quick series in the Western Conference.
Wow. All right. The only thing I would say to that is I saw Drew Holiday and Denny Avdia play really good against the Spurs defense. I know it didn't translate to wins, but the Blazers were able to get whatever, for the most part, what they wanted on offense from those two.
Yeah,
Avdia and Holiday.
Let's not disrespect Drew Holiday now. Drew Holiday is a dog. Drew Holiday is a bucket.
That's the same word you just described Jaden McDaniels with. Dog. That's the same word.
I would take Drew Holiday over Terrence Shannon and Ayo Dosunmu in the playoffs.
Well, yes, but I'm saying you said that the Spurs guards are great matchups for Ant and McDaniels, but they weren't great matchups for Avdia and Holiday.
Those two. The first time in the playoffs. Give him a break. This is the first time. This is the first ever playoff run. They got to get. It's the same thing as Detroit. You got to get warmed into it. You need that wake up call. So every first time playoff team needs that wake up call. I mean, if San Antonio did not lose that game against Portland, this series would be so much harder for them because you were talking about that wake up call that Detroit needed earlier. Every team needs that. This is Wembanyama's first ever playoff series. This is Stephon Castle. This is Dylan Harper. This is Champagne's first ever playoff series. Vassell, Keldon Johnson, their first ever playoff series. And it's not like they're immediately going to get to the playoffs and become this locked-in defensive unit and this impenetrable offensive unit. You need to work into that. You're like it's not the same thing as a regular season. These players got to learn that. That's what happened in round 1. Yes, Drew Holiday went off. Drew Holiday has been there, done that, messed around before. This is not his first rodeo in the slightest. This was Denny Avdia's first rodeo. I'll give you that. But this is also a player who averaged 25 points a game in the regular season. He's going to get his numbers one way or another. And you could also argue that Avdia also went off entirely because of free throws, right? I mean, most of his points came at the free throw line. You look at his shooting numbers from the field. Denny Avdia had multiple games where he shot 2 of 14, 2 of 15 from the field. I mean, I wouldn't really call that going off. If Jaden McDaniels shoots 2 of 15 from the field, Minnesota's losing that game by 30. So, like, it's 2 very different situations we're comparing it to. You compared an inexperienced San Antonio squad to a playoff veteran and one of the best bucket getters in the NBA. And those are not comparable at all to an experienced Spurs team against Jaden McDaniels and Terrence Shannon Jr.
I'm not saying Terrence Shannon
is going to be.
I'm saying Anthony
okay,
Edwards.
Anthony
Edwards.
Okay, sure.
Anthony Edwards is going to get his in this series the same way Drew Holiday and Denny Avdia got theirs in the first round.
Not at 100%. Anthony Edwards, I thought Anthony Edwards tore his ACL when he went down. I mean, that injury looked bad. So if he is able to return, I need to see Ant play at 100%. I need to see him look like his normal self before I'm willing to give the Timberwolves the benefit of the doubt. That's not Ant's fault particularly, but that injury looked bad, man. I thought the Wolves lost Ant for the entire next season when I saw that live. So I do not want to bet on a hurt Anthony Edwards to average 30 a night against the San Antonio Spurs defense. That seems like throwing money away to me.
Okay, well, I know that Ant used the word dog a lot. There's nobody with more dog in the league than Anthony Edwards. That guy is the dog of the league.
Wemby with dog over Ant. Wembanyama is an actual dog.
In a mentality, nobody has more dog in the league than Anthony Edwards. Come on.
Ooh, I do not know about that. I do not know about that.
If there's anyone that can play at 80% and still contribute, I trust in my heart and soul that it is going to be Anthony Edwards because he is a certified dog. Dog. The same word you used to describe Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards is that plus some.
Okay. And whatever Anthony Edwards is, that's some for Wemby because he's an even bigger dog. He's a 7'4" dog.
He's taller. Dog. He's not bigger. Pretty sure Anthony Edwards weighs more than Wemby. Pretty sure Wemby's like 7'4", 120.
Wemby weighs like that's my build. I think Wemby weighs like 260 though. He's
260. Wow, 7'4" guys must just be built different. 260?
Okay.
There's no way
All
he's
right, sorry.
260. There's no way.
236.
Okay,
236
okay,
is his
yeah.
actual
No,
weight.
Ant does not weigh 230.
And-
No, he doesn't. He probably weighs like 215. But still,
225.
in a per pound, I don't even know how to do, like, wrestlers, there's a way to measure like wrestlers' weight based on their height or something. I don't know what it is. That would make Ant bigger than Wemby by that metric, but not. I'm getting so far off topic. I'm getting so far off topic.
We're using BMI to determine who's the bigger dog. What has this turned into? All right, we'll get into our crunch time segment. Anything else you want to say about any of the four?
Yeah, I do.
Conference semifinals matchup.
I do want to say one thing. We didn't really preview the Pistons-Cavs matchup. We just kind of talked about their first round series. I think the Pistons are going to win in 6. One thing that really concerned me in that series is Harden and Mitchell's inability to play on the road. If Toronto had home court advantage in that series, they probably win, to be honest. Like, they probably win that series, and now Cleveland does not have home court against Detroit. So I'm really interested to see how Harden and Mitchell and really the whole Cavs team plays on the road against a better team in Detroit. And the second point is Orlando with their wings was a really tough matchup for Cade, in my opinion, and Cade still balled out. Who the hell is going to stop him in this series for Cleveland? I have no clue. It's not going to be Mobley, who's probably their best individual defender, and it sure as hell is not going to be Dean Wade, who the Cavs were putting on Scotty Barnes in that series. So who the hell is going to stop an MVP finalist caliber player in this series? I really don't know. He's going to average 30 and 10 this series, I feel like. He's going to get whatever he wants in this series. As long as the shot is going in, he's going to get open damn near every possession.
But I think he is also going to have to average 30 and 10 for Detroit to win. Because Jalen Duren, if he's struggling against Orlando, what do you think he's going to do against Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen?
He had a good Game 7. Give him some credit. He had a good Game 7.
Yeah, against Wendell Carter Jr. You're not doing that against Evan Mobley. So I think Katie is going to have
His matchup's not Mobley. His matchup's not Mobley.
Okay, he's not doing it against Jarrett Allen either. I mean,
both
those players are significantly better than Wendell Carter Jr.
The one guy I would point to take a step down is Harris, because Tobias Harris's matchup is Mobley. That's a problem for me. That's a guy that I expect to take a step down, whereas I expect Duren to play better than he did in round 1. That's kind of where I disagree with you on that.
I think Duren and Harris are going to play worse, but Cade is going to be consistent. I mean, Cade
how can Duren play worse? How can Duren play worse than the first round? How is that possible?
You don't think Duren is very capable of playing? It can get a lot worse than what Duren played in that first round.
No, that was the worst.
He was not the worst player on the court. I mean, for all of his struggles offensively, he was at the very least an average defender. He had that.
Okay, true.
By Jamal Cain, right?
Yeah, that was bad.
Poster aside, he was a good defender. He was a competent defender. He was a good rebounder. I mean, those are two things that Detroit needed that series. He was Detroit's best rebounder and Detroit's best paint defender. He wasn't bad this series. It could easily get a lot worse if Jarrett Allen is going to play like he did in Game 7, and if Evan Mobley is going to cook on the perimeter. I mean, if Tobias Harris is guarding Evan Mobley, that is such a mismatch. I mean, Jalen Duren has to be the one guarding Evan Mobley. Has to be. And, like, I think that is the front court is where Cleveland can gain an advantage, but the backcourt is where Cleveland is going to lose, because nobody is going to be able to stop Cade. And whatever of Donovan Mitchell and James Harden is the first option, I think Cade is going to do a great job of slowing them down. And Ausar Thompson will do a great job.
Ausar Thompson.
Anybody else on Cleveland?
He's gonna.
He'll be the great.
He's gonna.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Dog.
He's gonna do a great job. I think he'll probably end up guarding Harden just because of how much Harden handles the basketball. I would put him on Harden personally, as well. Even though I think Mitchell is their number one. I think you can get around having Cade on Donovan, or even Tobias Harris on Mitchell. Maybe you put Cade on Mobley. Maybe you try something like that. Something weird. Something different.
Barbecue chicken alert. But I think Detroit's guard advantage is greater than Cleveland's big advantage. And I think it's going to get Detroit the series win.
Absolutely.
I'm going to predict it to go 7, though. I think this is going to be a tough series. I think Cade is like as good as Cade is. He has some off-night scoring.
He does.
I think those are games that Cleveland is going to be able to steal. And if Cleveland can steal one or two, they can easily force us to 7 games. But I think Detroit is the more talented team. They're the more physical team. And I don't think Cade is going to... I think he learned a lot from that first round series, and I think that's going to carry over into the second round. Give me Detroit in 7.
Yeah, I've got Detroit in 6, so we're not that far off on that. Cleveland, like Detroit, what I saw from them yesterday in Game 7 kind of reminded me why I had so much faith in them heading into the playoffs. And Cleveland, to me, really underperformed in round 1. Like, if the Raptors can get to you like that without Brandon Ingram, the number 1 seed in the East, like, the number 1 seed in the East. No, I'm talking about defensively. If the Raptors defense got to them like that, with Pirtle on the court, with Jacoby Walter on the court, the Pistons defense was just as good as the Raptors, if not better, throughout the season. And I think they're going to cause some serious problems for the Cleveland offense in this series. That's what I was getting at. Offensively, I know Cade's going to cook. Cade's going to fry. So...
Let's move on to our final segment. We are back with another Sporkle quiz. This one is NBA playoff themed. So let's see. Max, can you see the screen?
Yep. Let me make it bigger for the people watching at home. Here we go. We've got...
All right, this is the NBA playoffs since 1980. We have 5 different categories. We have the team champion. We have the finals MVP of that year, the playoff leader in points, playoff leader in rebounds, and playoff leader in assists. All the way from last year to the year 1980. We got 10 minutes to name as many of them as we can. What's our goal, Max? What do you think we should try again?
I don't know, but I think a good strategy would be to guess like guys like Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Shaq, as opposed to going through like the champions and then the finals MVPs, right? Let's guess the guys who have the multiple like LeBron. LeBron definitely led the points. He could have led assists in multiple of these playoffs too. Like in turn, is this a point? Is this a points per game or is this a total? Because that's also a thought process in my head. Okay, yeah. So the guys that play more games are going to have more assists, more rebounds, more points. Okay, all right, makes sense. Okay, yep.
Yeah, all right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm locked in.
All right, I'm gonna start with the big names: James, Jordan, Magic Johnson, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Let's go James. Let's go Jordan. Let's go Johnson. Let's
go
Larry Bird.
Kobe.
Let's go Curry.
Kobe.
Yep.
Shaq.
Let's go Duncan. Let's go O'Neal.
Wade was definitely a Finals MVP. I know that.
Yeah. No, Dirk was.
Throw Shea. Yep, Shea in there.
And then Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
2024 was Jaylen Brown.
Oh, Kawhi. Throw Kawhi. Yep, Kawhi in there. 28. KD.
Was Durant.
Kevin Durant. Yep.
15.
Iguodala.
Okay. 08 was Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
07 was who won in 07? Who won in 07?
Garden. No, that would have been 08. I don't know who won in 07. Let's start doing teams.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way. Thunder,
Warriors.
Celtics.
Warriors won multiple.
Yep, Warriors, Nuggets,
Cavs,
Bucks, Lakers, Raptors, Cavaliers,
Celtics. You already guessed them, yeah.
Heat. Yep, already got Mavericks. 04 was Pistons.
All right, 07. 07 it was the Spurs. It says. So who would have won?
Tony Parker had to be.
Yep. All right, good stuff.
And then Bulls, and then Rockets with Olajuwon.
Yep, guess Olajuwon.
Okay,
Good
83,
stuff.
Was that Sixers? Yes, it was.
Irving?
Who was
Dr. J?
No, Irving was way before that. Irving was ABA days. Okay, I was wrong. He was not the Finals MVP, but he's on the list.
He's definitely in that era. He played against Magic Johnson. He's definitely in that era. Who would have been their finals?
Isaiah Thomas. 89. Was that Bill Laimbeer? No, but he's rebounding. Okay.
Lakers in 85. Would that have been Kareem? Have we guessed Kareem yet?
Oh, yeah, we haven't. That's a great pull. Kareem's on there. Oscar Robertson, is he on here anywhere? No, he's not.
Celtics in 81. Would that have been? No, Russell was way before that. Who played with
Larry Bird? Was it
Havlicek?
Was it
Havlicek?
Yeah. Nope. All right. Let's go to points. All right. 2024 points leaders. If it had to be Tatum. Okay, not Tatum. Doncic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn, Luka led
Lakers,
every three
okay.
category that year. Damn.
So did Jokic the year before.
Rebounds in
Let's see. Lakers,
22.
LeBron. So was it Anthony
Interesting.
Davis? There we go. Okay. Cleveland, not LeBron. Was it Irving?
Kyrie.
No.
Steph.
Was it?
Could have been Steph.
No, I already got Steph. He was MVP. Was it Klay Thompson?
No way.
It
Oh
was
my God.
Klay Thompson.
Oh my God, Clay.
Game 6 Clay. Game 6 Clay.
Oh my
Don't
God,
sleep.
Clay.
Don't sleep.
Clay.
Okay, 2001. Leading scorer was not Kobe, was not Shaq, but he was on the Lakers. Oh, no. He was not on the Lakers. Allen Iverson. He's got to be a leading scorer. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. 99 Spurs. David Robinson. Or not. Okay. Who did the Spurs beat in 99?
Manu wouldn't have been on there, would he?
I think he would be a rookie. He wouldn't. Yeah. Was it Charles Barkley? Oh, okay. No, he wasn't it. He was just rebounding.
Good pull, though.
Yeah, I thought I nailed that.
Let's go back up to the
99.
modern ones.
Oh, no. You know, it's Karl Malone.
Good
No, it's
pull.
not. But he was on there a
Oh my
bunch.
God, good pull. Well, you got Carl and Moses. You got both the Malones with that
Yeah.
guess. Good stuff. What about Stockton? Speaking of Malone, Stockton had to be on assists here somewhere.
Yeah, assist had to be. There we go.
Bang
there we
out.
Go. Assist was good. All right. What about Steve Francis?
All right, while we're on the go Nash for point guards. I feel like Steve Nash with the maybe he led
that's a good
assists.
pull. He got a few assists, yeah. Okay, let's see rebounds. Was it Holmgren?
Oh, Halliburton for assists last year for sure. For sure was Halliburton.
That's a great pull. Yep. Who was Hartenstein?
Chris Paul.
Siakam?
Chris Paul.
No,
Chris Paul.
Miles
Chris Paul.
Turner?
Chris Paul.
No, Chris Paul.
Not for the Bucks year assists. Oh my God. What?
No, no, that was Drew Holiday, right? Yeah, there we go.
Damn, he had more assists than Chris Paul that year. Good for him.
I'm telling you, Drew Holiday, dog. You were disrespecting earlier.
No, you were disrespecting Ant by comparing him to Drew Holiday. That's what was happening.
Who would have led did the Thunder beat in the Western Conference Finals the year they won the championship? Minnesota.
Gobert.
Was it
Gobert.
Nasri?
Had to be Gobert.
Gobert. There was not Gobert. You know who it is? It's
Holmgren.
former Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Towns. Nope. Carl Anthony Towns. What?
Chet. Have you guessed
kidding me?
Chet? Have you guessed Chet?
No,
It is Towns.
I
Okay.
didn't guess Chet, but it is Towns. Okay.
2022.
Rebounds,
Horford?
Al Horford. Yep.
Bang out.
2019 rebounding. It's not Siakam, right? It's not Gasol. Okay.
Could have been Ibaka.
Not Ibaka.
What about
was it Looney? Kevon Looney? No.
God, he had a couple
Bogut?
good runs though. No.
Wiggins? No.
It's got to be someone on.
Wiggins isn't even the
It's got to be
Warriors then.
someone's on different.
Or what? Who did the Warriors? Was it Clint Capella?
Was it Brooke Lopez on the Bucks?
No.
Dang it. All right, that's
We'll
tough.
come back to that. 28. Okay.
Tristan
Warriors
Thompson
rebounding,
might be
Warriors
on there.
rebounding.
Tristan
That's a good
Thompson
pull,
might
that's
be
a good
on
pull.
there.
No, I thought it was a good pull. He
Wow.
was not. I already guessed Klay Thompson, so Tristan would have come up.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I haven't guessed Kevin Garnett yet. Let's go with that. Let's go Ray Allen. Let's go Rajon Rondo. He's for sure on here. There we go.
Yeah, good pull. Assist leaders.
Let's go Jason Kidd. There we go.
Assist leaders. You already guessed Tony Parker, didn't you? They would have popped up.
Yeah, I got
How about
Parker.
Kyle Lowry? Did he ever lead an assist?
That's a good. Oh no, he didn't. Lowry was a good pull though. Okay, playmakers for the Lakers when they're who was the point guard for the Lakers in the Kobe Shaq days? Because I'm sure he would throw Shaq a ton of alley oops.
Was it Derek Fisher, or was he too late? No, he was post Shaq, I think.
Not Fisher. Yeah, I'm surprised David Robinson does not have a single spot on this list.
Yeah, I know.
Like I
That is tough.
I did put him in. There's no way he's not on rebounding. That's insane. Oh, Ben Wallace. He got to be there for rebounding. There we go.
Good one. Good one. What about Billups? Chauncey Billups? He ever lead an assist?
I got Billups.
Okay.
Billups was Finals MVP in 04. Rebounds is where we got to give. We have a lot of modern day big men missing too. Oh, Andre Drummond. Damn it.
He probably
This
was a
is literally
first.
deep enough.
Yeah, he was probably a first round exit. What about like Draymond Green? He could have led in
Oh,
rebounds.
I never put Draymond. Yes, yes.
Bang!
What a
My
play. He was an
goat!
assist leader too.
My
I
goat!
forgot about
Draymond!
Okay.
My goat!
Okay,
My goat!
we're at 206 out of 230. This is a hell of a run, actually.
Um,
Okay, still have a couple of Finals MVPs. We have 3
Warriors.
Finals MVPs we don't have.
Warriors.
Was it Rip Hamilton? No.
Good try. Warriors rebounder 2017. I feel like that could have been. Have you tried Iguodala?
Not good. I did. Finals
Okay.
MVP.
What about Kevin?
Tyson Chandler. Chandler
Good
for
one.
11.
What
There
about
we go.
Kevin Love? Kevin Love could have led in rebounds
There
for
we
the
go. Yes,
Cavs.
that's a good pull. There we go. There we go. Okay, 16 assists. 16 assists. It's not Kyrie. Kyrie did not have a single spot on this list, surprisingly.
Who did they beat? Who did the Warriors? Was it Dame? No, Harden. Oh my God, Harden. Did you try Harden?
No, not Harden.
my!
I haven't tried Westbrook though. Westbrook.
Damn, he was like.
Westbrook had 2 spots.
Oh,
Sorry.
2016, they made the conference finals. Yeah, that's a good one.
Conference Finals. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 09. Kobe was leader rebounding. It wasn't Gasol. Was it Ron Artest? No.
I don't even know who like they
Was it,
played in those years.
Celtics. Glenn Big Baby Davis? No. Was it Kendrick Perkins?
Oh my God, no way. No way. No
that's
way.
That's why I say he did something.
No
and
way.
He didn't do anything. I mean, that's giving you
All
too
right,
much credit there. My bad. I don't think I can name another. Oh, Dennis Rodman. And
Oh
Scottie
my
Pippen,
God,
for that matter.
what a pull.
Okay. If we forgot Dennis Rodman, I would have been pissed. Scottie Pippen is not on this list at all.
What about oh my God, who's the guy that
Did I say
played with
Bob
Magic
Cousy? No, I
Johnson
didn't.
and Kareem Cooper, Michael Cooper? He might be on there for something.
No, he was not.
Okay.
That was a good pull though. I forgot he existed. 30 seconds left. Can we get any more?
I'm looking. Lakers
I think I'm
88.
stuck.
Lakers 88 points. I feel like is kind of
The
gettable.
Lakers are on here so much.
I know.
And I can only name Kobe and Shaq. Like, there are so much Lakers players I'm just missing, but... Alright, we had a good run. We had a great run, actually.
That was a great run.
Let's see, 93%. That's solid. Average 71, we got 93.
Yeah, we crushed
Dwight
it.
Howard.
Okay.
Oh, man. That one's bad.
Yeah,
Should've
to be
got that
honest
one.
though, I didn't even know. I forgot they made the finals that year against Kobe. I
Yeah,
forgot.
I forgot Orlando made it. Yeah, they beat
James
Toronto.
Worthy. Oh my God, that was who I was thinking of, not Michael Cooper. James Worthy. God. damn it.
I would not have got that. Joe
God.
Dumars and Cedric Maxwell. I know they existed, but I would not. Joe Dumars won a Finals MVP. I did not know that.
Yeah, apparently he
Okay,
did.
fascinating.
Anthony
Dwight
Hardaway.
Howard's-
Okay. Mark
Dwight
Jackson.
Howard's the one I feel like.
Matumbo. We
gotten.
could have got
Like-
that one too. I feel like
Yeah,
Dikembe.
Mutombo, but he was never like a playoff. He never had like a playoff series where he was like
Yeah.
that. Like I don't blame us for missing Dikembe. Like if it was blocks, Dikembe would have been obvious, but I would not have like equated him to rebounds. Dwight Howard though, that was a
Yeah.
big
Okay.
miss.
Dwight.
I feel like that's one we
Dwight
could've
and
gotten.
Worthy were the only two I feel like that we missed.
But 93% though, I'd say that's a hell of a run. That's an A, and A's get degrees.
A's get way more than degrees. Way more than degrees. My
Yeah,
goodness.
they do.
All right, that'll wrap up this
That'll wrap
episode.
it up. It will. We got a great second round series games tonight. I believe the Minnesota and San Antonio. I know for a fact
And
tonight. The other
The
game,
Knicks. It's the Knicks. Sixers.
Knicks and Sixers. Okay, that's the first game of the day. That one's at 7:30. Spurs Timberwolves are right after. Best believe we will be watching those tonight.
Oh, I'm so
and
excited.
We will be back to you in the middle of the second round with quick take reactions. Then we'll see you guys in about a week.
Peace out.
Peace.